Welcome back, aliens. My name is Navin Reddy, and in this video, we'll talk about the Python installation. The thing is, we have talked about a language which is very powerful, but then where you will write your code? Of course, we can simply open your notepad and we can write the code which we want, right? So example, I can simply go back here and I can say, okay, what type of code I want to write? So it can be anything. It can be, let's say, 2 plus 3. Now, when you say you want to write a code, it can be a calculation, a computation. So basically, a normal calculation like adding two numbers, or deciding in which stock to invest, or maybe deciding who should be the next CEO. So basically, the idea is if you want to write a code to design a software which can do some activities, we have to write a code. But where? If you write the code in the notepad, of course, you're not getting the output. Where you will get the output for this? This is tricky, right? And that's why in your machine, you need a Python interpreter. So basically, we have to install some software. And in this machine, I don't have it. How do I verify? It's very simple. You can open your command prompt. So if you're using Windows, you can use command prompt to check it. Or if you're using Mac or Linux, you can open the terminal. So I'm here on command prompt. And here, let me see if I have Python. Now, basically, the way you can check that is by saying Python version. And if you get this type of error, which says Python was not found, that means in this machine, I don't have Python. Okay, with Python 3, you might also check if do you have Python 3 installed. And you can see nothing is there. So even if you have Python installed, sometimes it will not work with the Python command. It might work for the Python 3 command. So do check both the versions. And in this machine, I don't have any. So how do you get it? So the first thing we need is Python interpreter. And okay, let's say we got Python interpreter, and then you can write a code there. The thing is, in the interpreter, it provides you an option of writing a code one line at a time. So of course, you can add two numbers. But what if you want to build a big project? Now it can be a scientific project or an AI project. Now that's what is booming nowadays. So if you want to build an AI project or a web application or a desktop application, where you will do it. For that, you need a software where you can write the code, test your code, run your code, debug your code, and also deploy your code to the cloud, where you will do it. Now that's why we have to use something called an IDE, which stands for Integrated Development Environment. Now for Python, we have a lot of options. Now one is very famous, which is your PyCharm. Now this is from JetBrains. Again, in this video, I will show you how to install Python interpreter and the PyCharm. So let's start with the interpreter. So what you will do is, in fact, in the updated version of Windows, when you say Python enter, it will open the Microsoft Store. But let's say if you don't have this configured, that's fine. What you can do is you can just go to Google and search for Python download. So you can say this is the option you will get. So of course, the first website says Python, you can download it from here. Now in the upcoming videos, you might see a different version of Python installed, and that's completely fine because in the version difference, you will not find a lot of changes. So even those things, those code will work here. Okay, so you can go for Python 3.12, which is the latest version, I feel. So if I click on download, so you can see we got download Python 3.12, so you can download this version. 13 is into pre-release, so don't use 13 at this point. We got 12, which is 3.12. So we can click here and say download. Okay, so you can see it is downloading and downloaded complete, I feel. Yeah, that's done. Now, depend upon which OS you have, Windows, Linux, or Mac. Depend upon that, you can choose from here. So you can say we have different options here. And yeah, so that's the thing. So let me click on this and install. So basically I don't have this installed, so I will just click here and now this will install the software. Okay, so you can see we have an option here which is install now or customize. I will go for simple installation. But before doing that, I also want to say add python.exe to the path. Basically, even if you have installed, maybe whenever you open a different folder, Python may not be available there. So if you do this, add a python.exe to your path, you don't have to manually search for the installation. So you can click on this install now and it will take some time. Now, if you skip that step of add to the path, then you have to manually set the path. But anyway, when you do the add to path, you don't have to do the other steps. So by the time it is getting installed, what we can do is we can also get the PyCharm downloads done. So I will search for PyCharm. Now PyCharm is from JetBrains, which is a very famous company for the IDEs and software tools. So it helps developers. Now, basically, you can also use VS Code for Python. You can also use Anaconda or IDLE, which is the interpreter, and yeah, many more. So I will just click on this. I will say download PyCharm. The thing is, when you download or when you get to the PyCharm, it's not actually free. Okay, now that's a twist, right? So we have two versions there. One is a paid version, one is a free version. So I would encourage you to go for the free version. But yes, once you become a professional, once you're working for a company, then it makes sense to use the paid version. So this is the website. And as I mentioned, this is developed by JetBrains, which is the website here. It's also the company. And we also have a community version. So if you want the community version, you can scroll down and you can see we have two different versions, professional and community. I will click on the community version. If you go for the professional version, you will get trial for 1 month. So you decide if you want to use it or not, but I would encourage you to use the community version. So it is getting downloaded. Let me go back to my Python setup. And looks like Python setup is completed. Let me click on close. So setup is complete. How do I verify? Again, we have to go to command prompt. Now, one thing to remember, even if you have installed Python and if you directly do this, it may not work. So you have to reopen your command prompt. So now if I say cmd, and let me try now, Python version, and you can see we got Python installed. This time we are getting a version number. We're not getting that error which was getting earlier. So yeah, Python is installed. Now how do I test it? It's very simple. You simply say Python, it will open the interpreter. Now this is where you can write a code. Of course, doesn't look good, right? Maybe you need a software where you will find, in fact, if you have learned some other languages, you can write the code, you can see the project, you can run the code. We'll see that in PyCharm. But here you can see we got the interpreter, and here I can simply add those two numbers and it is working, right? So you can do calculations, computations, whatever you can do in this prompt. Apart from this, if you want to open Python, you can also search for Python. So you can see it will also give you an app. So you can also use this one. This is the IDLE from Python. In fact, IDLE looks like something like this. So this is the Python interpreter. You can also use IDLE. Yeah, I know white theme. A lot of people don't like it. But for YouTube videos, it makes sense to have a light theme. It looks good. It also encourages you to learn more. But anyway, that's your choice if you want to use a white or black or dark. Especially for me, I prefer to use dark theme when I'm coding, and for videos, I prefer white themes. Anyway, that's a different debate. So I can just use this. I can also say 2 plus 3 here. I'm not sure if the font is visible, but that's not important. If I say 2 plus 3, enter. Okay, we got syntax error. Again, I will say 2.3. I think I've entered something weird. Okay, so you can see we got 5 there. So yeah, you can do this here. You can do that here, or in the command prompt, which we have opened earlier. But what about the PyCharm? So we got the PyCharm installation done. So you can see we got PyCharm download complete. I will click on that, taking some time. And if you can see, yes. Okay, now setup is very simple here. You just have to say next, next. It will detect the Python as well, the setup. I'll click on next, install. Again, will take some time. Okay, looks like a bulky software. It is doing a lot of extraction. But that's a thing with IDEs, they are bulky. Otherwise, you can also use VS Code if you want. That's your personal choice. Everything which we are doing in PyCharm or on the IDE, it will also work on VS Code. Okay, setup complete. And I can also say run here from here, or I can simply click on finish. Let me open PyCharm, taking some time again. Okay, don't want to import these settings, any import, click on OK. So basically I'm using PyCharm on this machine for the first time. So you will get some extra prompts. Okay, so what you can do here is you can create a project. You can name any project, you can name anything you want. I can click on create and voila, you got your project here. So this is how the PyCharm looks like. And that's your Python code. Again, don't get confused with the code here. We'll understand this one step by step. But this is your Python code here. You can even run this if you want, but it will take some time. Anyway, we are going to see the PyCharm, how to use it later in the course. So yeah, that's it from this video where we have the setup for the Python interpreter and PyCharm. So if you are enjoying this series, make sure that you hit that subscribe button and also hit the bell icon, because that's how you will know when I upload the other videos on the platform.